Ladies, let me talk to you real quick now. Listen, I ain't here to sugarcoat nothing. I'm here to give it to you straight, no chaser. Because some of y'all out here giving away too much too soon to the wrong man and wondering why the whole thing falls apart like a $2 umbrella in a hurricane. When it comes to relationships, one of the biggest mistakes many women make early on is oversharing about their past relationships. Talking too much about an ex, especially in the early stages of a new connection, can sabotage something good before it even begins. Here's the truth. A man does not need to know every single detail about what your ex did to you. He doesn't need to know how many times you got cheated on, who broke your heart, or how deeply someone hurt you. That's not about being dishonest. It's about protecting your peace and maintaining your power. When you unload the entire story of your past pain to a new man, it creates an unintended script. You might think you're being transparent, but what you're really doing is giving him the playbook to your emotional triggers. If he's not the right kind of man, if he's manipulative or selfish, he'll use that information to play a role. He'll know exactly what to say to look like the good guy and exactly what buttons to push when things go south. Some men pretend to be the savior just long enough to get what they want. Once they're in, they use your past against you. You told him how the last man made you feel neglected. Now he knows all he has to do is show a little extra attention in the beginning. You said your ex lied a lot. Now he knows to cover his tracks better. It's a dangerous setup. Even with a good man, oversharing can backfire. When you constantly talk about your ex or your past heartbreaks, it sends the message that you haven't truly moved on. It can make a new partner feel like he's in competition with a ghost. He may start to feel like no matter what he does, he's being compared to the last man who hurt you. That kind of energy can push people away, even if they had genuine intentions from the start. A new relationship deserves a clean slate, not a courtroom where you're presenting all the evidence from past crimes committed by someone else. Keeping your past private doesn't mean you're hiding something. It means you're healed. It means you've done the work, and you don't need to relive that pain with someone new. The details of your past relationships are a part of your story, but they're not required reading for every man who shows up in your life. Let your actions reflect your growth. Let your peace be the proof that you've moved on. If you're still talking about him, you're still giving him power. And anytime you give your past power, you're robbing your present of its potential. Save the deep conversations for the right time, when a man has earned your vulnerability, not when he's just earned your phone number. Talking about money, whether you have a lot of it or very little, is one of the most sensitive and potentially dangerous topics to bring up too early in a relationship. When a woman starts disclosing her financial struggles, debts, or even her financial wins too soon, she opens herself up to being misunderstood, used, or judged. Finances are personal, and sharing them without real trust and foundation can create an imbalance in the relationship before it even has a chance to grow naturally. Some women, trying to be open or gain sympathy, will reveal they're behind on bills, have student loans piling up, or are living paycheck to paycheck. On the flip side, some women share how successful they are, how much they earn, or how much they've saved, thinking it will impress the man or show that they don't need anything from him. But in both cases, it sets the stage for the man to define the woman based on her bank account. The wrong kind of man might see a struggling woman as someone he can control or rescue, which can quickly become a toxic power dynamic. And if he sees a financially successful woman, he might try to ride her wave, pretending to support her dreams while quietly plotting to benefit from her income. When a man knows too much too soon about a woman's finances, it can distort his intentions. He may start to see her as a financial opportunity instead of a romantic partner. There are men out there who specifically target women who either appear vulnerable financially or women who are flourishing and independent. In both cases, he's not there for the right reasons. He's there to take advantage. And unfortunately, many women don't realize this until they've already been drained emotionally and sometimes even financially. A man should be interested in who you are, not in what you have or what you lack. Even well-meaning men can be influenced by early financial disclosures. If he finds out you're struggling, he may feel pressure to fix things or might even feel overwhelmed by what he perceives as baggage. If you're thriving and earning more than him, he may feel insecure or emasculated, even if you never make him feel that way intentionally. Money changes the dynamic in subtle ways, and once that dynamic shifts, it's hard to go back to something pure and balanced. That's why it's important to keep money talk limited until there's mutual trust, emotional connection, and a sense of shared direction. A strong relationship should be built on who you are at your core, not on your current financial situation. When a man sees that you carry yourself with confidence, responsibility, and grace, it tells him everything he needs to know about how you handle life, not just money. You don't owe anyone a balance sheet. Financial transparency is important in long-term commitment, but it should never be a first-date conversation or a way to prove your worth. Family is personal. It's one of the most complex, sensitive, and emotionally charged parts of anyone's life. Every family has its issues, arguments, dysfunctions, habits, or long-standing tensions. But just because you live through it or manage it behind closed doors doesn't mean it should be public knowledge, especially when you're dealing with a man you're still getting to know. A woman who begins to reveal too much about her family's mess too early might feel like she's just being open or honest, but what she's really doing is handing over deeply personal information to someone you talking about your mother's controlling nature, your father's absence, your brother's criminal record, or your sister's relationship disasters might feel like sharing your truth. But those truths don't belong in every conversation. When you open up about those details too early, it gives someone a narrative about your life and your upbringing that may not reflect who you really are today. A man may start connecting your family's dysfunction to you, even if you've worked hard to rise above it. He may assume that you're emotionally unstable or carry generational baggage just because of the environment you came from. That's an unfair judgment, but people do it all the time when they're given too much information too soon. Some men will even weaponize what you tell them. You may confide in him about how your father was never around, and later he throws it back in your face during that argument. You might share that your family is constantly in your business, and he uses that to paint you as someone who can't make independent decisions. The things you say and trust can be flipped and used against you when emotions run high. And that's not just toxic, it's dangerous. Once you put something out there, you can't take it back. And in the wrong hands, personal family issues become ammunition. There's also the risk of him assuming he knows your whole story. When you talk too much about your family's flaws, a man might start to believe that he's got you all figured out. He may not even give you a chance to show him your growth, your independence, or the boundaries you've created between yourself and your family. People love to draw conclusions, and if the first impression he gets is that your life is full of family drama, that impression sticks. It clouds how he sees you and how he treats the relationship. It may even affect how much respect he gives you. Some things need to stay sacred, not secret, just sacred. Your family may be your business, your burden, or your blessing, but it's not something a man needs to dissect over dinner. You can love your people and still keep their flaws out of the spotlight. Protecting your family's privacy is also a way of protecting yourself. It shows discernment, maturity, and self-respect. It proves that you don't let just anyone into the deeper layers of your world. Emotions are powerful. They're a natural part of being human, and especially a natural part of being a woman who feels deeply. But when it comes to relationships, especially in the early stages, not every emotion needs to be put on display. There's a difference between being open and being emotionally naked in front of someone who hasn't earned that level of intimacy. Many women make the mistake of thinking vulnerability equals dumping every thought, every worry, every fear on a man the moment it comes up. But emotional oversharing too soon can do more harm than good. A man needs time to build a connection with you. He needs to understand your mind, your values, and your spirit before he starts navigating the more complex layers of your emotional world. If you're constantly venting, crying, or confessing every insecurity early on, it can overwhelm him, even if he has the best intentions. You may think you're creating intimacy, but what often happens is you create a dynamic where he starts to feel responsible for your emotional state. That's not fair to you or him. A healthy relationship allows for emotional support, but it shouldn't begin with one person carrying the other emotionally from day one. There's also the risk of being perceived as unstable or too intense. While that may not be true, perception plays a big role in how a relationship develops. A man might think, even subconsciously, that you don't have emotional control or that you're too reactive. He may start to walk on eggshells, unsure of what might trigger a breakdown or an emotional flood. This doesn't mean you have to hide your feelings or pretend to be emotionless. It just means you need to manage them with maturity, knowing when to express and when to process internally. The truth is, not every emotion deserves a response. Some feelings are fleeting. Sometimes you're just having a bad day or dealing with something that has nothing to do with him. When you give every emotion a microphone, you risk creating emotional confusion in the relationship. He might start wondering if he did something wrong or if he's failing you in some way. Constant emotional transparency can blur the lines between genuine connection and emotional dependency. Real intimacy takes time. Emotional depth should be earned, not handed out like free samples. When you save parts of your inner world for the right moments, you're not being closed off, you're being wise. You're giving the relationship room to grow before weighing it down with the full range of your emotional experience. That kind of balance is attractive. It shows you have emotional intelligence and self-control. It proves you're not looking for someone to fix you or hold you up every time something feels heavy. You're choosing when and how to be vulnerable with care and intention, not as a default setting, but as a conscious choice reserved for those who show they can handle it. Insecurities are a part of life. Everyone has them, and it's completely normal to wrestle with doubts about your body, your birth, your past, or your future. But when it comes to relationships, especially in the early stages, revealing those insecurities to a man too soon can open the door to a host of issues you don't need. While vulnerability is often praised, not all vulnerability is wise. Some things are meant to be processed, healed, and managed internally or with trusted friends, not placed in the hands of someone who hasn't proven they can be trusted with your heart. When a woman starts telling a man about everything she doesn't like about herself, how she hates her body, how she never feels good enough, how she always gets left and doesn't always create closeness, it can create discomfort. It can make a man feel like he's now responsible for constantly reassuring her, proving himself, or tiptoeing around her emotional amlays. That's not romantic, it's pressure. A relationship built on the foundation of constant validation and emotional repair quickly becomes more of a job than a connection. It shifts from partnership to caretaking, and not every man is going to stick around for that. Even more dangerous, the wrong man will use your insecurities as tools to control or manipulate you. If you tell a man that you're scared he'll leave, a toxic man will play on that fear to keep you walking on eggshells. If you admit you feel like you're not enough, he'll start treating you like you're lucky to have him, flipping the dynamic so that you're constantly trying to prove your worth. When someone knows your weak points and they don't truly care for you, they won't protect those parts, they'll poke at them. They'll test them. They'll use them. It's not about pretending you're perfect. It's about knowing that not everyone deserves access to your deepest wounds. You should never give someone a roadmap to your emotional vulnerabilities unless they've consistently shown you they're safe, mature, and capable of loving you through them. Sharing insecurities too soon is like opening a safe without checking who you're giving the code to. Some people take what's inside and protect it. Others take what's inside and run off with it. You won't know which one you're dealing with until time and consistency reveal their character. A woman who walks in confidence doesn't need to be flawless. She just needs to show that her worth isn't up for debate. Even if she has insecurities, she holds them with grace. She doesn't let them define her, and she doesn't hand them over to be judged or exploited. She understands that real strength is being aware of her imperfections and still choosing to present herself with dignity and pride. That energy is magnetic. That presence commands respect. And when a man meets a woman like that, he knows he's dealing with someone who doesn't need fixing, just someone who deserves to be handled with care. Mystery is not about playing games, it's about protecting your essence. In a world where everyone is oversharing on social media and people feel entitled to pull everything about you from day one, mystery has become a rare and powerful trait. There's something incredibly attractive about a woman who doesn't feel the need to put all her cards on the table right away. A woman who understands the value of holding something back keeps a man intrigued, respectful, and curious. She doesn't overshare, she doesn't explain herself unnecessarily, and she lets her energy speak louder than her words. When you tell a man everything, your routine, your past, your plans, your fears, your wins, your losses, you remove the sense of discovery. And discovery is a key part of connection. People want to unfold each other slowly. They want to earn access to deeper layers. When you give away too much too soon, you skip that process. And once the mystery is gone, the chase often fades with it. It's not about manipulation, it's about pacing. Letting a man earn more of your truth over time creates respect. It shows you value yourself enough not to spill your soul to just anyone. That she doesn't feel pressured to tell her whole life story. She doesn't seek validation through constant sharing. She knows her worth is not proven by how many pieces of herself she gives away, but by how well she holds on to her identity. A mysterious woman also knows how to control the narrative. She doesn't let a man assume too much, but she doesn't rush to correct him either. She lets her actions speak for her. She keeps her goals to herself until she's ready to share. She lets people wonder where she's going and how she's doing without the need to update anyone constantly. That energy is rare, and that energy is unforgettable. It separates the women who are pursued with intention from those who are just entertained in passing. A man respects what he has to work to understand, and mystery is what keeps him invested in learning more. That she doesn't feel pressured to tell her whole life story. She doesn't seek validation through constant sharing. She knows her worth is not proven by how many pieces of herself she gives away, but by how well she holds on to her identity. A mysterious woman also knows how to control the narrative. She doesn't let a man assume too much, but she doesn't rush to correct him either. She lets her actions speak for her. She keeps her goals to herself until she's ready to share. She lets people wonder where she's going and how she's doing without the need to update anyone constantly. That energy is rare, and that energy is unforgettable. It separates the women who are pursued with intention from those who are just entertained in passing. A man respects what he has to work to understand, and mystery is what keeps him invested in learning more. Trust is not something you hand out just because someone shows interest. It's something that's built brick by brick through consistent actions, respect, and emotional safety. One of the biggest mistakes women make in relationships is confusing attention with trustworthiness. Just because a man is charming, consistent with his text, or makes you feel good in the moment doesn't mean he's earned the right to your deepest truths. There's a difference between being emotionally available and being emotionally reckless. Giving someone full access to your truth before they've proven their intentions can leave you exposed, hurt, and disappointed. A woman who leads with full transparency, thinking it will create closeness, often ends up feeling empty when that honesty isn't met with the same level of respect or care. You have to ask yourself, has he shown up for you in real ways, or has he just said the right things? Trust is not built on words alone. It's built on consistency, patience, and behavior. A man needs to show that he can be present, not just in good times, but in difficult ones. He needs to show that your emotions are safe with him, that your silence is respected, and that your truth won't be used against you later. Premature vulnerability can be dangerous. When you give someone your full truth too early, you give them influence over parts of you that are still healing or evolving. That's power. Not everyone should have it. Some men will pretend to be safe just long enough to gain your trust, then use what you shared as leverage. You have to ask yourself, has he shown up for you in real ways, or has he just said the right things? Trust is not built on words alone. It's built on consistency, patience, and behavior. A man needs to show that he can be present, not just in good times, but in difficult ones. He needs to show that your emotions are safe with him, that your silence is respected, and that your truth won't be used against you later. Premature vulnerability can be dangerous. When you give someone your full truth too early, you give them influence over parts of you that are still healing or evolving. That's power. Not everyone should have it. Some men will pretend to be safe just long enough to gain your trust, then use what you shared as leverage. Others may simply not know what to do with the depth you offer, and their inability to handle it leaves you feeling rejected or misunderstood. Either way, the lesson is the same. Make people earn access to you. You are not obligated to explain every part of your story to prove you're worthy of love. You don't have to relive your past to justify your present. A man should invest time, energy, and effort before you open the vault. He should earn the right to know your battles, your fears, your scars, and your dreams. When someone earns your truth, they appreciate it. They protect it. They understand that it came at a cost, and that you're not just sharing information, you're sharing pieces of your soul. That kind of exchange should never be cheap or rushed. Being guarded doesn't mean you're cold or unfeeling. It means you understand your value. It means you've learned from experience that not everyone deserves a backstage pass to your life. You know how to move with grace, show warmth, and be authentic without giving everything away. You're not playing hard to get, you're being smart about who gets to have you fully. Let a man prove that his intentions are aligned with your peace before you offer him the privilege of seeing the whole picture. Let his actions, not his potential, decide how much of you he gets to know.